Spring has sprung, which means that after this particularly horrid Welsh winter that we've had, our thoughts are turning to fossils. Obviously, what else would they turn to? So, we need to go and have a look at the quarry at Castlebank, see what state it's in, tidy it up and get ready for a long hot summer of fieldwork. Well, here we are. It's been a long time away, but spring has arrived. And it doesn't look like much, does it? This is a tiny little quarry. Absolutely typical of little Welsh farm quarries all over the country, used for digging out for making tracks and so on. And this is slightly more interesting than most. So, as with all of these little quarries, there's an interesting story to be had out of all of it. So this upper part here, very sort of strange blocky rock, is actually volcanic ash. It's about 2 meters worth is exposed here, just about. But it's got little layers of shale in it as well, but it's mostly volcanic ash. And then it's when you go down here that you start getting into black mudstones, really black. This stuff is full of graptolites, not very good ones even, but you know, can't have everything. But Didymagraptus murchisoni in huge abundance. Then you go further down through the sequence again, and you hit a white volcanic ash layer. There you go. It is white on us. Just the winter hasn't been kind to it. And that is a single event, quite a small one, but still, there's obviously quite a lot of ash in there. And then under that is where it gets interesting. So you might possibly have guessed based on where the hole in the outcrop is. Yeah, that'll be us then. So in 5 years of work, we've taken this from a smooth face to this hole, particularly going down into the bottom. Because there's only one particular interval in here which is particularly productive, and that is this layer at the bottom, where you can see it's been hacked about a bit. It breaks in a very different way to the rock above it, but that layer there is maybe 20 centimeters thick, and that is where most of the soft-bodied fossils are. And the winter hasn't been kind to this at all, so we're going to have to spend quite a while clearing it up, getting the surfaces nice and fresh, and hopefully getting it into a state that we can then come back to in the next few weeks, if the sun stays out, and do a lot more. Oh, this is a bit of a mess. Right, a lot of this surface underneath here, which does have quite a lot of interesting things in, has weathered badly. And so we're going to have to carefully get rid of all the surface debris, checking everything as you go, because you never know when the most exciting things are going to turn up. And then we've got the overburden, so we're going to have to take off some of this weathered part here until we can get down to making this area accessible. But you see what I mean with these layers of rock here, they just sort of split apart now. And yeah, there's graptolites on there, just Didymagraptus, but it just falls apart in your hands. Once it's too weathered, there's not much you can do with it except very carefully try to preserve things. But a lot of this is not going to be of much use. But yeah, quite a lot of graptolites on there. Every now and then you do find sponges in this lot. And when we're here on fieldwork, we'll be here for the whole day effectively, and we'll be carrying on hammering hour after hour and collecting the things that we find. But today isn't much about that. We'll do a bit, but it's really about getting it into a state where we can do that. Right. This lot will have a few thousand graptolites in and probably a few dozen sponges. So we're going to put this on a pile to one side where we can work through it when we get here in the morning, or whenever we feel like it, because you've got to try to get down through that overburden to the point where it gets really interesting. But you do sometimes get some interesting things in here, so it's important it's not wasted, even if it is a bit weathered. See, that's what we like to see. Really good solid bits, which are event beds. Most of this is sort of background shale, which just flakes into tiny bits. But then you get these occasional layers where things are buried alive by rapidly transported mud. And it's things like that that we're likely to have sponges in. And who knows what else. You can see I'm out of practice at this. Oh, sponge. Oh no, it's not. Sorry, my mistake. A little bit of weathering, it looked like sponge. Just graptolites. More graptolites. And no graptolites. You win some, you lose some. I'm not saying whether having no graptolites is winning or losing though. Right, let's find a few sponges, shall we? Well, that's something black, probably carbonaceous, and doesn't seem to have much structure to it, but it's a bit weird. I'd imagine that this is a pellet, a dropping of something, and those can be really interesting, so we're definitely going to put that to one side and have a look at that with a microscope. and carry on hammering. Now, there aren't many graptolites in these layers, which is actually a really good sign. Lucy won't like me saying that, but hey, because it means that it wasn't concentrated. So when you have loads of graptolites, it means they're time average. They've been washing around on the seafloor a little bit, and they've been gradually building up with very slow deposition. And in this case, we've got hardly any, which means that this was deposited very rapidly. So if it had been there any length of time on a bedding plane like this on the seafloor, there would be graptolites on it, and there aren't. So this is the right sort of rock, as you'd expect, because it is the hard lumps that come out the outcrop. So is there anything in there though? Because of course there's no guarantee that any particular event bed is going to give you the answer that you want, i.e. lots of squidgy fossils. And this is not looking promising. Yeah, it's also more micaceous and coarser on this surface. It sort of sparkles like glitter in the light, and that's a good sign for the event beds, whereas the finer bits on the edges, you tend to get more graptolites in and not much else. So we don't have to worry with these beds about hammering them down to tiny sort of levels. We just need to go through the bits where they actually want to split, and that's where the sponges are likely to be. So it doesn't take too long to go through most of a pile like this. And we also don't have to do it in one go. It's the advantage of sticking it off to one side for later. As any European will tell you, these are stinging nettles, and they actually cover quite a large part of this quarry. Not the part that we're actually hammering, luckily, but you sort of zoom off into the distance and you can see there are stinging nettles all over this bank. And they do sting, as anyone in Europe will be able to tell you, and they're not particularly dangerous or anything, but they're quite unpleasant, especially if you put your hand down on them, and it sort of hurts for a little while. But they are an amazing wildlife plant, and truly spectacular in terms of how much there lives on them and depends on them. So we leave most of this as we can. So most of this will be untouched, and it will be full of bees and butterflies and hoverflies and chironomid midges and sap beetles and dock bugs and all sorts of stuff. And it makes it much more enjoyable working here. So who could possibly complain? I just want to find you some sponges on camera. This may take some time. Lights everywhere. Never mind, I'll get over it. Scrap lights. Hopefully you can see that shining in the sun there. We'll have to do this several times during the course of the season, just taking in one extra level at a time to get down to this quite low down part where we might have an area something like that, which will take us a few weeks to work through carefully, going through every little piece to make sure that we're not missing the soft-bodied stuff. So this bit, there is quite a lot in, but it takes quite a long time to go through it just to make sure you're, again, not missing things there, but we can not worry too much about it, so we can sort of hammer through this quite quickly and then get on to the serious stuff afterwards. Anvil. Necessary, because otherwise the rock doesn't split properly. Yeah, weathered. Which probably means it's all graptolites anyway. I can see loads of graptolites on the surface. Don't have to worry about that one. Let's go for the better stuff. Not much. It's kind of like looking at a modern seafloor. You don't find sponges everywhere you look, and if you can only look at one tiny bit at once, then most of the time you're not going to find sponges. It's just the way it is, really. So you just have to keep hammering until you do. Aha, something black. Yeah. Indeterminate organic stuff. There's a little brachiopod as well, but that is also not at all surprising. See, at this level you get really nice smooth surfaces of perfect Welsh nothing. It's amazing how much there is where there's nothing on it at all, but actually it's not that amazing. We're not getting all the really soft squidgy stuff at this level. It's just the slightly tougher bits or the more chunky bits of soft tissue. So we shouldn't expect there to be a huge amount in it. But there's a big question over where the sediment came from. How far has it travelled? Why is there so much of it compared with the things that were living on it? All these questions. Ooh, sponges. Yep, there we go. Quite small ones. Where's the counterpart? Ah, there it is, even smaller. Yeah, so these are little ascosponges. 2 or 3 of them overlying and not in a very good state. But they are sponges. So this is the sort of thing that you get among the sponge faunas and the Burgess Shale type faunas in the Cambrian. you getting bored of this yet? Because I can assure you we will be after an hour or so. The rock is actually really quite wet in here because it's still early spring, and this is one of the things that's quite important, because when we get to the good layers they don't split until the rock is actually dried out, and they just sort of go thud and turn into mud. So in order to get them to split, we need to wait after heavy rainfall, often a day or 2 or 3, before we're able to hammer here again. So it's a little bit limiting, and if you were to just book a couple of weeks of field work months in advance and then go at that time, this is Wales, the chances are you wouldn't be able to find anything at all. You have to be on hand to be able to come out and make use of the good weather when it happens. Slightly annoying, but it is what it is. Hi. Right, well, Lucy's finally turned up. So she's going to be set to work as well, and we should go through this in no time at all. Right, you can see here there's a very thin little ash layer that's weathering out, very soft orange colour, and that is the marker for the top of the interval with the really good stuff in. But we do also get some interesting things in here and just immediately above it. So we've got down to this point here. We work in 10 centimetre intervals is how we've really defined where the good layers are. So the next band is going to be down to about halfway through that block, and we're going to put that in a different pile so that we know where, when we find something in that pile, which layer it came from. So then every specimen that we collect, we mark on A0, A1, and just sort of scratch on the surface, something like that, just so that we know which level we're in. But first off, I think we need to go and do some more hammering. Come on then. That's A1. So, dump this down and give you the box back. Right. There you go. I'll direct. That bit, madam.
Well, this bit?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, and there's a worm there.
Oh, okay.
What's I saw one?
I can see it from here.
Ah, there. Yeah, rescue the worm.
Oh.
Yeah. You see, we do find lots of very carbon-rich worms here, but this one is still wriggling, so it doesn't count.
Doesn't it? I've
They'd
always
not.
put them in the papers as counting.
They'd not.
Oh, bother. Oh, right.
Only the ones dated April the 1st.
Right, okay. I'm going to have to change those papers retrospectively. Oh.
I keep having to resist the temptation to stop and look at it all.
You can do that afterwards.
Oh, I will.
I forgot to bring the whip.
I'm not going to make any remarks to that one.
Good. So you found anything good yet?
No, someone keeps distracting me.
Oh, right.
Right, maybe this bit. Oh, well, there's a graptolite. What's that beside it? Okay, it's got some texture, which is promising. Let's try with the high magnification lens. Okay, that might be little bit of palaeoscolecid worm cuticles, so I'm going to put a mark on it so I can find it again easily, and we know exactly where we collected the slab. And then when we get home, we'll put it under the microscope and see if it really is something.
Ooh, that sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, is it a good one?
Oh, well, see what you think. It's the one at the end of the arrow.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
I can see texture.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably palaeoscolecid, as we call it.
Maybe.
There is a thing that we don't know if it's conulariid or palaeoscolecid half the time.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it's something with texture.
We'll take it back and perhaps we'll throw it away at home.
Okay, we are basically down to the level that we want now. You can see that bright orange weathering part is this little volcanic ash layer, and underneath that is where it starts getting interesting. So I know it's all covered in rubble at the moment, but this is the level that we wanted to get down to and make accessible. So what we're going to do is tidy up a lot of this outcrop now, and hopefully by the end it'll be a lot more impressive. You never know anyway. Okay, so what have you found?
Well, a few things. On this piece of rock, there is no way you'll be able to see the actual fossil. It's a few millimetres long, less than a millimetre thick, and it wiggles like a little worm, so it might be a palaeoscolecid. So that's one for the microscope. And this one actually has several pieces on. There's a couple of sponges, not very good ones, so Joe isn't going to get excited, but they're sponges. And then some things I'm not quite sure what they are. They might be fecal pellets, so fossil poo. They might be something a bit more interesting. Again, that's one for the microscope, but that's the right sort of preservation for something really interesting. And then there was this one. It's probably just not a very good sponge, so I don't think Joe's going to be very pleased with that one at all. And I found lots of graptolites, but we've had so many graptolites from here, we don't bother collecting them unless there's something unusual.
It's been a bit of hard work. Okay, so this is what we've done after quite a lot of work, and we now actually can see what the shape of the outcrop is. So there's all this stuff which is full of graptolites and some sponges and a few other things. There's this bit I'm sitting on, which is actually quite interesting. It has bedding planes covered in graptolites, some bedding planes covered in sponges, and occasionally other things like priapulid worms. They're not brilliantly preserved. They just seem to be sort of almost ghosts of them occasionally with the gut, but they are there. So this is actually an area which we don't tend to go into too much because it's not very diverse, but every now and then we make a big hole in here as well and go through that. But this interval here is what we're interested in. So we've got here this little marker bed of volcanic ash, and underneath it there are these layers of effectively event beds. This is a bit weathered, so it's actually coming out, and these layers like that are the ones that are hard to split. But when they do, when you get them going along the bedding planes, you can get all of the soft-bodied goodness that we expect from Castlebank. So I think we can have a quick go at that today. Yeah, go on then. Brachiopod, more brachiopod, and a third. This is the ubiquitous micula, which you'll hear plenty about at some point. It's absolutely everywhere, but nothing else on that bit. Now, at a lot of fossil sites, you probably wouldn't be spending much time looking at chips that size. That's the start at Castlebank. You're looking for anything which is just about barely visible to the short-sighted as being different. And quite often it's a mica flake, but usually you can tell when there's something really interesting there.
So, Joe, why are you carefully pushing these bits of rock to one side for a little while?
Yeah, various reasons. Firstly, there might be a bit of counterpart you hadn't spotted yet, and you might want to go back to it. But the main thing is, a lot of these fossils are not visible when you first split the rock. It's some sort of weird photo-oxidation effect. We don't know. But you can actually watch them going from silver on a silver surface through to black over the space of about 30 seconds. So you can't be in too much a hurry with this place. But nothing on there, though. And some of these event beds don't have anything in at all of any significance. And of course others have loads. So you just have to have patience. It's one of these pastimes where you kind of expect that you'll have great rewards immediately when you go to a Burgess Shale type site, Burgess Shale type preservation, but it's not often the way it works. Oh, hello.
Have you got something?
Yeah. Don't know what. It's too small. But there is a comma-shaped thing there, which is... it looks like it might be one of those tiny elongate arthropods we get quite a few of. And yeah, we've got most of it still embedded in the rock, which is usually the way it splits through them. But there's probably a carapace-like thing which is a bit silvery that might be 1/3 of a millimetre long, and a couple of black bits from that going into the rock. So I will very carefully make a mark on this. And note the bed number, which is a 3. And then try to find the counterpart. This may not be great sort of spectator sport, but there it is. Yep. You're very often finding bits of counterpart like that. So sometimes if it's something really good, you might want to spend quite a long time looking for it. And that gets the bed number on as well. 8B it is. And then we would immediately wrap this up to make sure that it doesn't get lost. But for the moment, I'll put it on my hat because I haven't got the other box in reach. Right, let's see what else there is. I suppose you're going to want to see what we found then, aren't you? Well, we got a few boxes of these, and we've hopefully got some quite nice things there. And we only spent a couple of hours actually collecting in the field, because most of it was obviously other stuff. But even in that time, we found some quite nice specimens, or things we hope are quite nice specimens, because it's only when we unwrap them here and have a good look that we can really be sure of what we've got. And sometimes not even then. But let's see what there is. So this is the one that Lucy was saying was a little black wiggle that we were kind of hoping would be a worm in the field. It is marked by an arrow, conveniently. Otherwise it would be quite tricky to spot because you can't really see that very clearly until we put the crossed polarizer in, at which point it suddenly leaps out. So this is a reflective silver film. It's not actually black. It just looks black when the light catches it in the right way. And when you do that, you can see there's quite a lot of detail here. There's a little branch coming off there, but it's actually quite difficult to get much information out of it, which is a shame. But, you know, we do what we can. And in fact, we know what this is, kind of. We've actually got quite a lot of examples of them. We have a lot of branched specimens where you can see multiple branches coming off at right angles. We thought originally it was Rhabdopluron, so something related to graptolites, but a sort of a benthic thing living on the seafloor with a little tangle of tubes. But we're now fairly certain that actually it's not. It's something different. There are a couple of options that we're trying to decide between at the moment, but it's an interesting little thing, and that's one more to add to the collection. Of course, we do have some other things, so I spent about an hour on that bit of the really productive layers and did find some various bits and pieces in there. Didn't mark which ones were the most interesting as I went through, so I'm just going to have to go through a few of these and see what they look like. Bear with me a minute. Right, this is one I definitely wanted to have a good look at. There's a little black streak, actually quite big, it's about 1 millimetre wide, on the tip of this rock, which looked to me in the field like palaeoscolecid. I thought I could make out plates. So this will be an actual worm, one with an armoured skin, cuticle, so there should be lots of little phosphatic plates in here. Let's have a look at this one. we go. Oh, I can see them already. Look at that. Now, if we zoom into here, let me just check how wide this is to start with. Give me a moment. Oh, it is 0.7 millimeters wide, which it's wider than most of the ones we get. They're normally 0.3, 0.4, something like that. But let's zoom in on this. Oh, beautiful. Look at the plates on that. And we can zoom in to the maximum. Yeah, so you can see very clear transverse rows of plates going across it. I think in some of them you can actually see there are little spines, nodes on the plates, which there will be, but it's not often you can see them with a light microscope. Put the cross polarizers in and the plates suddenly leap out much more clearly. Really nice plate rows. Can't tell whether they're in actual annuli, whether they are sort of paired with differences in the microplate structure between them, because we need electron microscopy for that. But it does look like they might actually be in clear annuli. So you have a pair of plate rows together and then a sort of groove in the cuticle. Yeah, I think that is probably the case. Oh, that's really rather lovely. Okay, that is nice. So I'm trying to think whether we have seen this palaeoscolecid before. It's got big plates, relatively. Not as big as the largest ones, but much bigger than most. We may have one other specimen of this one, I think, but I'm not totally sure. In fact, that one, I think there was alternation of the plates between each row, which you could argue a little bit. Yeah, maybe we have got one other specimen of this one. Still, that is one I'm dying to see in the electron microscope. That's gorgeous. Right, what else have we got in here? This was quite interesting. It's very unusual for here, but doesn't sound very exciting at first glance. There is a sponge spicule. Yes, a single spicule. There's some, not sure what that brown stuff is, might be iron oxide or something, but that is a single spicule of siliceous composition by the looks of it. Going through the rock. It's quite a large one. It was almost certainly part of the root tuft of something like a hexachinellid, but we very rarely get the spicules preserved with silica. So this is going to be quite interesting to show us how much the silica has been altered. When we look at this in an electron microscope, we can see what detail we can get out of that. It's not going to tell us much, I suspect, but it's interesting to have because normally they're dissolved. It really is like Christmas when you come back from the field. Oh, this is that tiny comma-shaped thing that I thought might possibly be a bit of a minute little arthropod. Let's have a little look at this. There we go. It's absolutely minuscule. And I was thinking that it was possibly the silver part is a carapace, so the left part, and then the darker material would be softer tissues, which would be part of the trunk, the body. Is that what it is? Probably not. There's just no indication that there are segments in there, but it is going into the rock. And that could be a little bit sort of carapace-like, a couple of longitudinal ridges on it. I'm going to have to prepare that one. That means getting out the scalpels and trying to see what I can get to come out of it with a microscope. But that's going to be a fiddly one because it's absolutely tiny. But there's another one I definitely want to show you if I can find it. It's guaranteed to be the last one I unwrap. Nice little brachiopod. I'll just show you that one because it looks rather lovely. It's not actually complete. It's going off. It's a bit broken and on the edge of the slab. Where is it? Is that down there? There we go. But that is part of a brachiopod shell, a phosphatic brachiopod. And the nice thing here is the ornament on it. It's got these lovely little radiating ridges. So this will be probably a monobellina, I think. There's another one, Schizocrania, that also has these little radiating ridges, but costi they call them. But those are lovely things to find. This one's surprisingly three-dimensional. It looks like there might be a little bit of the phosphate there. Yeah, oh well. But there is only one more, so I very much hope that that other interesting specimen is the one that I wanted to show you. Should be in here. And is it this one? Yes, it is. Good. That's a relief. So I didn't know what this one was in the field. But it looks interesting. And there we go. It's a wiggly thing. It's got a right angle in it. It's the right sort of preservation, this brown carbonaceous stuff, for very soft tissues. And I am not seeing anything immediately telling me what it is. Okay, you've got these longitudinal strands and little fibres coming off them obliquely. I think that is an alga. We do have some little tiny seaweeds which look rather like this. And I suspect that's what we've got here. It's we don't have a large number of them, so it is always interesting to get another one because you might get some extra detail, extra structure out of it. But that's rather nice. Okay, so not too bad. And there you have it. Not exactly earth-shattering discoveries, although it's a really nice little palaeoscolecid. But there were also some sponges. I've got piles of various other little bits, pellets and things which may be of interest. And it'll only be after we spent some time looking at them that we'll know if there's anything else of much use there. But that was not a day for collecting. It was just for preparing the site, seeing what it looks like, and getting the enthusiasm back, because, it's been a long time since we've been out there. And this year, we're hoping to get more than the half dozen days that we managed in the field last year. So there is, as always, a lot more to come out from it. You can see what the process is like, how long it takes to work through a small amount of rock, and how much further we've got to go before we anything like exhausted them. And I don't think there were any new species today, probably, but you never know still. There's one or two things that we need to prepare out first. And there's no doubt that there will be more new species as we work through this summer. So we'll be sharing some of that with you on the as we find things, and hopefully there'll be something good. But we'll see. Thank you once again to everyone who watches, comments, is just here for the ride, and especially to our members who are supporting the channel and getting extra little bits of exciting Castlebank stuff on the side. I will see you again soon, and I'm looking forward to it. Bye for now.